what I've done. Morning sun, thanks to you for what I've done. Herb is growing in my yard, natural blessing in life on. But when I light the sacred fire, my spirit lifts a little higher. Ancient wisdom in the storm, healing power for broken fall. Sacred healing from the ground, just creation all around.
Welcome to another Temple 420 Sabbath Sesh. I started wrong here, so I'm taping it backwards and sticking this up front and letting everybody know here. Today's Sabbath Sesh is dedicated to Steve Jones and his family. Unfortunately, Steve Jones, one of the prior partners with the ministry, has passed, and spoke with his widow about it last night, and it was very tragic and a really sad instance here. I unfortunately started the recording a little bit late here, so when we jump right into it here, that's where we are here with our discussion, and sorry for that clipping off here. I will start off the prayer here quickly, so since we cut that out and missed that part. Dear Almighty Living God, thank you for those who came across our videos and are encouraged by our discussion today. May this discussion enrich their hearts and make them want to seek after you and do things in your right way manner, and be encouraged by the things that happens here. They can know that they're not alone in the struggles, and that we also run into them, and many things come about here. May you bless the Jones family, and that they may be able to get through these hard times, and that they can be blessed and get them through the hardships that come about. May the people watching also be blessed in hearing of your word and the stories of your word, and that they will be blessed and seek after you. Amen. And now on to the show.
You know what I always like to share with you, though, is the stuff I just read recently that I was like, dang, I forgot all about that. I don't even remember reading that, or it just went over my head the first however many times I've read it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
2 Samuel chapter 2. What do you think happens in there? I'm pretty sure it's that one. We've been reading Samuel 2, chapters 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, I've got it up here too.
So, but I think it's 2 where it happens. And so finally Saul is killed in battle with the Philistines. His son Jonathan is killed. And I think only one of his sons survives. And he is leading a group of people who want the kingdom to stay with Saul rather than to pass to God's anointed David, who Samuel had anointed, just like he had anointed King Saul. And he's kind of the last judge from all the book of Judges and stuff. Samuel, he's a prophet, but he's also considered a judge.
Yeah. Say 2 Samuel 1, Saul dies and David hears about it.
And then he kills the messenger because he said, oh, I killed him. And he goes, you weren't afraid to kill God's anointed? And he goes, nope. He asked me to.
Yeah.
And then he kills him and he goes, he asked for it. He killed God's anointed. He's got to die. And he admitted it. He could have kept his mouth shut and lived. In 2 Samuel chapter 2, the kingdom's still divided. So Saul has died, and now more and more people start pledging their allegiance to David, especially Hebron and down in Judea. And so I think this is the first division of Israel and Judea, when it's Benjamin, where King Saul came from, and Judah, and the other 10 tribes of the north, and they are separated, the 10 tribes of the north, and they call themselves Israel. And they reform 100 years after that, after King Solomon dies and Rehoboam and Jeroboam split the kingdom. But I'm like, I didn't realize that there was already a natural division between the tribes and between the land, that King David united, Solomon held all together, but once Solomon passed away, Rehoboam and Jeroboam couldn't hold it together.
Huh. And you said they split it and then they brought it back the same way that it was somehow miraculously too, right?
Explain to me what you mean.
You said like somehow they ended up getting divided and then coming back in the same way they were before they got divided. I'm guessing like the lands and stuff that they had and taken over.
Okay, you know how the 13 tribes are given land? Each tribe has its own land. Like
Yeah.
Reuben, Manasseh, and Gad are on the east side of the Jordan. Judah's in the south. And, they're all distributed the rest of the way throughout the land of Israel. So he said, this is your land. This is your land. Here's for your people. So 10 of the tribes are in the north. Those are called the 10 northern tribes. And then there's Reuben is part of the south, but he's on the east side of the Jordan, because the Reuben, Manasseh, and what was the other one? I just mentioned it 2 seconds ago. Reuben, Manasseh. Anyways, I forget. But they were given their allotment before they conquered Jericho. They're like, these are your lands. And their lands were on the east side of the Jordan. They were like the protectors of the land from the east.
Interesting. It was that reminds me too, because I was back reading the Parsha again. I did it actually Wednesday after I listened to the Parsha discussion on Tuesday, and it was going through where Moses was going on the way to before he gets to the promised land, and it was talking about all the divisions and how everything was set up and set like that, even for the rest of the groups that were off there. Like Esau had his own land and Lot had his own land, and it was interesting how that was all declared through there. And talking about the newer things, I thought there was some other reason that Moses couldn't go through, but it does say in there God gets mad at him, said that he wouldn't go into the lands that they told them to take over either. That he
right. And you remember why?
Because the giants and everybody was scared, right?
Well, that's why they didn't go in at the beginning. Then they wandered for 40 years. And even though Moses was old, he could have gone in. But while he was out there in the desert wandering for the 40 years, he brought forth water through the rock by striking it with his staff, right? This is the staff that he used through Egypt. And then God told him, speak to the rock. But he was angry at the people because they wanted him to bring forth the water, because they were in the desert, and he was just creating springs with his staff and his word. So God tells him, speak to the rock and let it bring forth water. And instead, because he's pissed at the people, he strikes the rock with his staff. And I think that each of these things that are in the Bible are there for a reason. And one of the reasons I heard was that God wanted him to speak to the water now, the living water, to come forward rather than striking the rock. Now it's a time, because almost like the first coming, he struck down the living water as this, but now we speak to God to bring him forth.
Right.
And then we each can have a relationship with him. So that is my understanding of why God got pissed at him, because he told him to speak to the rock and instead he disobeyed and struck it. And that's why when we really feel like that calling from God, that inner voice telling us to do something, and we don't do it, and sometimes we're punished in a way. Like we really have to learn to listen to that voice. And it's interesting because as a kid, you hear it and listen to it so naturally, but as an adult, you question it and you're like, well, that chick looks pretty hot. I feel like being a little worldly right now. I'm putting you on the back burner, even though I know that's, not how I should be. And that's, I think where we start to lose that separation with the Creator is we no longer listen to him and follow him all the time. And maybe that's what church is all about, in community. So we build that brotherhood together and kind of can strengthen each other when we feel weakest, because we're all human. Even Jesus was tempted. He didn't succumb to the temptation with scripture. He fought it off, but it wasn't like he wasn't tempted.
Right. Yeah. I can see that, because sometimes as an adult, it's hard when you hear that voice inside.
Right.
Says to do. We're like, oh, that doesn't sound like a logical idea. But when you're a kid, you're like, okay, like I'll go with it. And you have the faith, like they say, of a child, and go with it.
Right. And that's why you can daydream, and then stuff happens in real life, and you're like, oh, I manifested that. Like, not like you even know what the word manifest means as a kid, but you are imagining stuff, and then it's happening. And you're not clinging to it. You kind of dream about it, imagine it, and let it go without attachment.
Right.
And you wonder, is that seeing the future, or is that making the future?
Right. Yeah.
Just a thought.
Faith of a mustard seed, you'll move the mountains into the ocean. So it's an interesting one.
Right. Well, because you already put them there, I suppose. And I don't know. I wonder about that stuff, because I think about how Jesus killed the fig tree when he's like, you wicked tree, you don't put forth any fruit. And it withered right then in front of all the guys. And I was thinking the same. I think it's metaphorically, the fig tree represents Israel, and they weren't making people faithful in God. They were just putting burdens on them, and stress and taxation and and so that's what I think Jesus was saying is, you're evil and wicked, you're not producing any fruit. And that's why I wonder, like, man, are we supposed to be out there on the street? That doesn't seem like the thing for me, but I'm hoping somewhere in the kingdom that our little conversations will be helpful in bringing a few believers on board.
Right.
Like it's quality, man, not quantity.
I think a lot of the ways we present ourselves in society and in the community also helps with that too. Because if we've got God, we're doing things righteous and loving people and treating people right, unlike a lot of people. And that does a good representation of it too.
Yeah. And I have an example of that. I was in Santa Monica, and I walked to, I think it's called Joe's Pizza on 2nd Street. No, on Broadway. Yeah, I think it's on Broadway. And it's right at the beach. Really good pizza. They don't take cash. You go up there, you order, you have to pay with the card. And I got my slice of pizza, my little water to drink. And I'm back at the table, and I say, oh, I see these two like rough looking guys with tattoos all over them, including like their necks, their arms, everywhere. And I'm thinking, oh man, these guys are tough guys, whatever. I'm going to sit next to them. And before I eat, I just put my hands together and I pray over the food, and just give thanks. And then all of a sudden these guys start talking to me, and they were from Venezuela. They were visiting, they were Christians. And they're like, oh, I'm kind of shy. That was nice seeing you pray in public and give thanks for the food. I said, yeah, no, I'm really thankful just for everything. I had just come up from Mexico. And so anyways, I spoke to them in English and Spanish. I gave them some places to go visit in LA. They were there for a few more days. we had a really nice conversation, and it was so funny because it's like you said, just being an example in the world, and that creates a conversation, a chance to commune with fellow brothers in Christ.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And they looked like tough guys. Like I maybe wouldn't have talked to them otherwise.
That's a neat how that all came together, though.
Yeah.
Really neat.
Well, and it was interesting how your comments sparked the memory too.
Right.
How it's all connected.
One of these things to ask you about here and see if you know more. Have you heard of fundamentalist Jews trying to push the no-hide laws and go after Christians and do it worldwide?
I saw a video on that last night on YouTube. It was weird. They were like, "Oh, here's the Messiah," and they gave a picture of the rabbi from New York, and then this guy in a red shirt goes, "He's not the Messiah. Jesus is the Messiah. What are you selling this stuff for?" And they got all upset. And then this other guy goes, "Oh, what are they talking about?" And then he said the exact same thing you just said.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I've got a friend that's Christian and calling it out and saying, hey, we're all going to be taken out because of the no-hide laws. And like, they're the seven of the 10 laws of the commandment. Like,
right.
The only thing I've seen anybody get upset with is some of them do get upset with the way some people treat Jesus and the Holy Spirit and do that. They take it as three gods instead of one.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never seen any want to kill people like some Muslims want to with that. But I'm sure there's some out there, but there's some Christians that get that crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So
go ahead.
So I could see it out there, but I have never met any. I've met a whole bunch of really nice Jews and seen the stories where they say that they just are nice to non-Jews because that's what they're supposed to do. But I'm yet to buy that.
Yeah, well, the way the guy described it in the video that I watched the other day is he said that, sorry, I'm in my car and I'm driving a very far away, so it made a funny noise and it distracted me. He's like, though, there's two different heavens. There's the Jew heaven, the high heaven, because they're the chosen people. And then there's the good Goyim heaven. So that's why they want you to follow these no-hide laws. Grand Avenue West. I'm at my place where I need to get going here. Oh, snap.
Yeah, when I speak with the Jews on Tuesdays, they're pretty liberal to what I understand of Jews, but they claim that if you're following the no-hide laws, then you get saved even if you're a non-Jew. And if you're a Jew, you got to follow the mitzvot and the 613. And either of those will get you saved.
Yes, because they're like Hasidics or some kind. They're like dressed up in Jewish costumes. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm just saying that that's the clothing and garb that they wear kind of separated them on the street. Like, as we're Jews, we dress in this way, even though we don't live in Russia or Germany or wherever it's freaking cold. We're still wearing these mink hats or whatever.
Yeah, I've seen those.
Okay. Oh, I think I might have got on the wrong street or I might have got on the right street. I'm not sure.
Nope.
Yeah, I memorized the directions rather than, and I did plug them in my phone too. And for the first time, it just popped up. Okay, so I have 4 miles until I make a left on Northern Avenue.
There you go. You're in the right street then, it sounds like.
Yes, it finally popped up because my map is not showing up as I'm on the phone.
Of course.
But it showed me where I needed to turn. And at least I got the right street. Like I memorized the direction. So I feel good about that I could do that without relying on GPS. I was about to call it Chat GPS.
That's pretty good, the old school way. I used to have to do that, but I usually have to print out a piece of paper and follow it.
I used to write out directions in a very like cryptic way. like, okay, and how many like so far to this place or that place, and what am I looking for? What will I see on the way? Like I used to ask people very specific directions. So because people don't understand what it was like before GPS.
Right.
It's
Oh, yeah.
it makes us sound so old. I was talking to my son yesterday about my grandmother. I go, dude, your great grandmother was born before phones, cars, radio. Like, you don't realize 4 generations how, because we were complaining, oh, that's what we were doing. He was talking to me on the Alexa in his bedroom, and I'm on my phone in Arizona, and we talk every night. We read the Bible and we just chit chat about the day, and we kept getting cut off, and our house in where he is at the edge of the grid, so we sometimes lose power. And so I'm like, just so grateful we have technology and we have this. I'm like, bro, just imagine my grandmother was born with no radio, no TV, no internet. I'm like, they used to have a piano in their house, 11 kids, and they would buy penny music, which was one sheet, like a popular song of, oh, I'm down to 10% now, a popular song. And then they would sit around with the lyrics and the keys, or the music sheet, whatever it is, the notes, and they would bang it out on the piano. And the next thing you know, they're all sitting around singing a song. And that's how hits were born back then. People wrote sheet music and it sold for a penny.
That's wild.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun because I really spent a lot of time with my grandmother and I got to know her. So I know lots of her stories. Like one time she wanted to go to school, and it was Friday, and so they wanted to go to the movies over the weekend, like on Sunday, because they weren't allowed to go on Saturday because it was the Sabbath. Yeah. So my grandmother talked her sisters into riding on the running board. Now, you know how there's a running board on some SUVs and on some cars?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that running board used to be just a plank on the side of a cart where horses would pull it. And in case the horses started running away without you, you could run to catch up with them, jump on the running board, and then get control of your car again, your horse and your cart. So my grandmother, it's wintertime, it's icy everywhere. So instead of using wheels, the carts are being pulled by the sleds. The sleds are on the bottom. Yeah. Skis or whatever. So the horses are dragging them on skis because it's just easier than wheels in that kind of weather. So my grandma said, let's ride on the running board. I guess some of the drivers of the carts would let the kids ride on the running board and save their money. So my aunt Sue is on the running board. Thank God it happens in some powder. They go over a bump. She falls backwards off of the thing, and the back ski, I guess where the back wheel would be, runs over her stomach. Ooh. And could have killed her. But thank God she said it was an ice sled, and they had already sold a lot of ice. I guess it was winter or something like that, whatever. It was a milk truck and milk and ice, and it was almost empty. So for some reason, it didn't kill her. She never said a word. My great-grandmother's bathing her that night, and she has this huge bruise running across her stomach. And as my great-grandmother's doing that, the first thing because this is the littlest of all the sisters, Aunt Sue. So I think my grandmother's got to be like 11, maybe not 9 through 11. And Aunt Sue is somewhere between 5 and 7. Wow. And so she falls over, and my great-grandmother yells, Annie! Hannah! She knew somehow it was my grandmother's fault. And So she told her what happened, and she was like, how dangerous that is, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But my grandmother was crafty that way to save her nickels, so that instead of spending it on the bus and going safely, they hopped a ride on the running board and saved their nickels so they could go to the movie and buy popcorn that weekend or something.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Completely
And
different.
that's exactly completely different from anything we could imagine these days. But yet that was my grandmother, who was born in 1911, telling me stories of her childhood, you know?
It's almost like my age is equivalent of grabbing the skateboard and using a car to help you get down the street or something. That's wild.
I guess. I mean, I remember building my first skateboard was like a 2x4, and I had seen skateboards on TV, or some of the older kids had them, and I undid my roller skates and I screwed them on the bottom of a 2x4, or maybe a 2x6, and that was my first skateboard.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it was homemade, but it worked. It was dangerous as fuck, but we did it, and it had 8 wheels because I just basically ripped the shoes off the skates and put skate wheels on the bottom of the board. But yeah, it worked, and the wheels were metal, bro, metal.
Oh wow. So not
Yeah.
the plastic ones we used to have.
No, metal skate wheels, and then I had that one for like 6 months, maybe less, and I had a paper route. I was only 7 years old, 8 years old, but I woke up every Wednesday morning and every Saturday morning, and I delivered papers. And then I bought a yellow banana skateboard, but this was before it had internal bearings. It used external bearings, so you could see the little balls rolling around in your wheels to make it go around the axle.
Yeah.
It was noisy, because now they sell these same banana boards, like these little plastic boards, and they almost have the same and that was the first urethane wheels, and they have these days, but they have internal bearings, so they run much smoother and quieter.
I don't think I've ever seen them with external bearings. That sounds wild.
Right. Well, and here's the thing. They're still in the same part where your internal bearings go.
Yeah.
But instead of you know how the internal bearings, that you see the metal part and it's almost like a plastic cover?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, if you pop that plastic cover off, there's actual ball bearings in there. And that's what makes it spin around so smoothly. So in this one, there's no plastic cover over there. So you actually see the little balls rolling around in there.
Imagine all your dirt and everything gets in there and jams them up there.
That's exactly what happened. That is exactly what happened. And so after about 6 months, that board was useless. And then there was one I paid $36 for this one, because I had saved up $72 by this point, which was a shit ton of money for a kid. Imagine, well, it's still not silver dollars. We'd gone off to silver standard by then. So 71, 72. Yeah, we had just gone off the silver standard, but there wasn't that much inflation yet. So I had saved up $72, and I guess this was when I was 11, and that was when in January I had to decide between going to the Super Bowl. I bought a Super Bowl ticket for $36, and my dad paid for the airline ticket down, and we saw the Raiders beat the Minnesota Vikings in the Pasadena Rose Bowl. And then I spent the rest of my money buying a Logan Earth ski. Oh, because you're surfing the earth. Okay, that makes sense. Logan Earth ski board. It was wood, kind of thick, like it was almost made with what do you call those things? A tablet. You know, when you buy, like, it's like a 1/2 inch by 1 by 12.
Yeah.
Like a board. A plank. It was shaped. Are you finding the Logan Earthski skateboard?
Yeah, I was interested in what that looks like here.
Yeah, so it was thick. It was some thick wood. It had a little kick tail on the back, so you could kick the back up a little. It had Roadrunner number 4 wheels and Bennett trucks. And this was when Sims, Bennett, Alva, Dogtown was all just starting, because skateboarding was just starting back then when I was a kid. They called it sidewalk surfing at first.
Sidewalk surfing. That's awesome.
Yeah. And that's what it was originally called, and then we called it skateboarding.
Nice.
Yeah. 300 feet. I'm here at the church.
All right. Cool.
All right. Oh, it's a big one. I was thinking, I don't like these giant mega churches so much. Family Worship Center, Student Center, Harvest Church. All right. There's a lot of people here right now.
Wow, they got a bunch.
All right. Oh, and it's 8:00. I'm right on time. All right. I'm just gonna park in this first space and follow some other dude in, because a guy just came in right behind me.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, I'm glad I left when I did. That is perfect timing. Chapin, thank you for sharing this time with me and letting me be on the show with you.
Thank you.
All right. I'll catch you soon, man.
Take care. God bless.
All right. You too. God bless.
I started and got my time off a little bit late there. I don't know what I did exactly in the beginning there. Somehow I hit record and then missed the recording, so I didn't get you guys the intro. One of the things I wanted to bring up here too, and ran into last night, is we ran into I had a message come up to me, and as I was actually thinking about a friend, I was looking to some verses that he referred to us before, and looking for those verses to refer to somebody else here who had a post. And out of the blue, I got a message that said, hey, somebody was trying to contact you on Messenger, and ended up running into the wife of our friend, Stephen Jones here. And unfortunately, she had the news that Stephen Jones, a friend and partner of my assembly here, had passed. He's one that we've had links on here too, that if you were interested in getting food, or if you were interested in getting material to help witness to people, he was helping get people connected off into that, and helping get food delivered to people, helping get witnessing delivered to people. And he was bringing some really good sermons. I don't know exactly what happened with him in that one, because I noticed his sermons stopped going, and he started to have some trouble there with some things, and ended up, apparently there was tragic issues, and he ended up passing, and he's gone from this earth. So I definitely dedicate this show to him, because he was really a great guy and really good blessings. I hope the Jones family does really, I hope the Jones family can get some reconsolidation and some help and some assistance with it. He left behind his beautiful wife here and his 4 beautiful kids, who are now trying to figure out the way that they need to go in the future and figure out what's going on there with that. He set up his wife set up a GoFundMe. So I will post that on the website, and then down in the comments. Let me pull it up here, so I have it on my other window, so everybody knows what it looks like. They go to it here. I'll add the link here for Elena Jones and her children, since Stephen has passed, and she needs help with her children and her bills and things here. He was an amazing guy. He was always trying to get the word out to people and be blessed in the way that he was taking things. He reached out, I think it was, I don't know, maybe just over a year, maybe 2 years back. I would have to look and see how long we were working on things. with interest in Temple 420. He was like, hey, I wonder if there's a church that goes through cannabis. I don't know what brought that up to him, but he did say that he did that whenever he ended up finding us. And then he searched and found that Temple 420 was a thing that we help people with the understanding of cannabis and help people understand that God created cannabis, that God loves us and he created it as a thing for mankind. One of the things too he brought up, and when I asked, because he wanted to understand and he didn't really quite understand why I would go through and say, hey, cannabis is a sacrament and put it at that level. He didn't really quite get that and understand for a bit, but when he ended up understanding later when I've given him some of the information about it, but when he first brought it up and stuff, the thing that was amazing that wanted to present and show here too, that he would bring up and tell people with it, was that he would go on Romans 14:1 as the way to judge on that and see how it goes. I'll go through that one here because I think it's an amazing way to sort that out. And it's an amazing one that goes to me too with the way that I tackle and do with ministry here, because a lot of times people don't have the same thoughts, whether it's cannabis, whether it's Sabbath days, whether it's eating meat, not eating meat, and all that goes through this. Romans 14 is a good presentation and speaking on that. Romans 14 says, receive a person who is weak in faith. Reach out your hand to them and do not be divided in your thoughts. Be consistent in your mind, because one believes that they may eat all things, while another is weak, eats only vegetables. And one who eats should not despise the one who does not eat. And the one who does not eat should not judge the one who eats. And then my kitty cat's going to come here on the screen and be part of the movie here. What are you doing? That's not a good place to lay down. Second here, trying to figure out what this kitty cat's doing. I can't see, and that's not a place to lay down. I'm trying to do a Bible study. Sweet kitty, maybe she'll take my lap as a place to lay down. And go back here to Romans 14:3. And he who eats should not despise the person who does not eat. And the one who does not eat should not judge the one who eats, because Elohim has received that person. Who are you judging another one's servant? That person stands or falls to his master, but they will stand because Elohim is able to make that person stand. One person considers one day more highly above another day. Another considers every day to be alike. Let a man be fully persuaded in his mind. The person who regards the day, he is considerate with the duty to his master. And the one who is not regarding the day, he is not considerate of the duty to his master. The one who eats, he eats to his master because he gives thanks to Elohim. And the one not eating does not eat to his master, and he gives thanks to Elohim. Because there is not a single one of us who lives to himself. There is not a single one of us who dies to himself. So then, whether we live for our master. And whether we die for our master. And whether we live or we die, we belong to our master. And this is why the Messiah died, came back to life, and rose again, so that he could be the master Yahuwah of both the dead and the living. But why do you judge your brother or sister? Why do you say you despise your brother or sister over these secondary issues? Because we will stand in front of the judgment seat of the Messiah. For it is written, as I live, the Master Yahuwah, every knee shall bow to me, and every tongue shall confess to me, as in Isaiah 45:23. And so then, every one of us will give an account to ourselves, to Elohim. So essentially there we've got that everything that we do in our ways and our practice is for God, and that's going to reflect that and be something that will be accountable to the Master Yahweh for. And then it does also too, I know, comes through to do not cause another to stumble. 1 second here. And do not cause another to stumble. Because of this, let's not judge one another, but rather let us be mindful of this, so no man puts any unnecessarily stumbling blocks of an occasional to fall in front of his brother or sister. And I know I'm persuaded by the Master Yeshua, that there is nothing defiled of itself, but to the person who considers anything to be unclean, it is unclean to him. But if a brother is grieved in your food of choice, you're no longer walking in love. Do not destroy one whom the Messiah died for your food, choice of food. Do not let the good of evil. Do not let your good of evil be spoken of, because the kingdom of Elohim is not food and drink, but it's righteousness and peace and joy in the Ruach Kodesh, the Holy Spirit. Because a person who is a minister of the Messiah in these things is pleasing to Elohim and approved by man. So then let us pursue the things that produce peace and the things which may edify one another. Do not destroy the work of Elohim for the sake of food. Everything is clean, pure, but it is evil for someone who eats it with an intention to cause someone else to stumble. It is good not to eat meat, nor drink wine, or anything that causes your brother or sister to stumble. Those of you who have faith should keep it in your sight of Elohim. Blessed is one who does not consume himself with the things that he allows, because the one who eats and doubts is condemned and violates his beliefs, because he does not eat with faith, because everything that is faith, not of faith, is sin. So that's another one here too. It also continues on with it there too. I try to be really selective and work the way that I actually do with cannabis, especially when presenting it to Christians and people who don't understand, especially because the nature of our social doing here, that they have called cannabis evil and not called it good. It's God's called it good. And I would actually put that there. I saw that. Yeah, do not let your good be evil spoken of. So since he made that good, I can't really speak bad about it. And in here too, it says that if God's got that and made it pure, and you have an intention with it and you have faith in it, which I do believe that God gave us cannabis for helping of our mind, for the stability, for us to be in a fellowship mentality to help with those things. I do also, as this one has, think there are some people that brings up kind of a stumbling block to, and they can't understand, and you don't want to be insistent and pushing with that kind of thing. You want to be kind-hearted and understandable and not do things with it that will cause people to stumble. I also know there's people that I've spoke with that are cannabis users, that just from the use of cannabis, they know with the way that it changes and the way that it helps with their mindset, that there's a creation to it, that something almighty and powerful has given us the plant and done that. So I try with my ministries to reach out to the people who know that it was created and help them realize who created it, why there was the creation of it, because it was good for the healing of mankind. And really, if I get into it, I think it also shows a representation of Christ himself. That cannabis is a chief of the herbs and provides everything like Christ provides spiritually for us. And if we take the appropriate approaches, we can bring people to know that God provides and that God does things right. We shouldn't push it over others and make them to stumble there, as it comes through here in Romans 14:21. It even goes for meat or wine or anything that puts that stumbling block in front of people and makes them have kind of the issues with it. We should be kind and work with that. It's one of the things too, when I try to explain to people, it's not a thing of being so indulged into cannabis or anything like that, that you're in that kind of manner that you cause those kind of troubles and make other people confused and upset and do with that. And it really goes the same as wine. I've seen people really into wine and really in that. And some people that can't handle wine, just like they can't handle cannabis, that if the things go in their mind, they are not able to work with that and handle that. And we shouldn't put those stumbling blocks in front of people that we realize they're like that, and insist that what we do is good and righteous. Really goes back into, and as it goes here too, on the beginning, it talks about the days with that too. I take that as an approach to, amazingly, with it, that the Sabbath day, I believe that it is the Saturday from Friday evening to Saturday evening is the day of rest that the Almighty God set and toned there. And I believe highly and strongly with that. But that's not something that we have to push with that. One person considers one day highly above another day. Another considers the day to be alike. And let every man be fully persuaded in his mind. So it's more the relation that you have with God. And I see that as one of the very, very most important things that I can really get out there and help people understand in more of a ministry setting. But God says, seek after him and he will lead you, that he will be there with that. So if you are in a mindset and you work on seeking after God, you are doing right for your Elohim, for the Almighty living God, in your mind and in your faith, then you're doing it the right way. That's really the way I became with cannabis, and Steve was one of the few people that really picked that up and kind of understood off of the word that he has there with that. Because I think that you should use it properly. You shouldn't abuse it. You shouldn't be using it to get into avoiding things that happen, but you can really do that and avoid responsibility really through anything. If it's any addiction, any vice, really with that, I don't think cannabis really falls into that as a separate one that's higher than others. You can get that way with food. You can get that way with your relationships. You can get that way with sex. You can get that way with drinking. You can get that way with just material items. Some people get so obsessed with their material items that they put that before God, and then they have that as a total vice and problem there with that, that they respect that and they have that more over their respect for God. I unfortunately missed the intro of that there, but I do intend on dedicating this and going out to the Jones family. And I will post their GoFundMe below for anybody who would be interested in helping the Jones family and their recovery through this time. I will I will end this here with a prayer for everybody and for the family. Dear Almighty Living God, thank you for the blessings you give us. Thank you for the time that me and Craig got to come together to speak on your word and go through the things that are happening in our lives and speak about the goodness that you bring us. Thank you for Stephen, who was here for a time to help people be inspired to follow after you and to hear your word and seek it out. May this video be encouraging to others to do the same themselves. May there be blessings on the Jones family that they can reconcile and be through these times with the help and support that people may give here for them, and even the support that they may get from the world that helps them see love and compassion from those around, because may those who don't have things to give that they approach and they come across be kind and say kind and in the way to support them and to help them get better in their journey. As we know, this will pass and there will be more things to come for them, and that they may be encouraged to help get through this hard time and see a good future there. And we know Stephen was one who believed in the Messiah Christ that you sent, that he had put his faith in him. So we know that you are the forgiver of all the sins, that Jesus Christ's blood covered everything that happens, all the things that go through here, that it will cover the sins, and that you will make us meet again in heaven, and you will have a space there for us. Thank you for all the wisdom that you give for us and the brightness that you brought into the world with this guy, and the love that he showed to his fellow people. May the people who stayed with this and here with me also be blessed, and their mind and their understanding and their seeking out to you. Help them see you clearly and know the path to go, so they may be encouraged by you. In Jesus Christ's name, amen. Once again, I will stick the GoFundMe details in the bottom. I will also post it on our social medias. Also, too, if anybody's ever interested in questions with us here, please post those below or get in contact with us. You can always go to temple420.org. You can look up Temple 420 or the Renown Plantation on Facebook. Those links should really also be below as well, though, too. So we should be able to get you in connection with us if you're interested in that. And always, as this one reminds me here too, and really my mission with this here too, if you know cannabis, you do use cannabis, and you know that something greater has created cannabis. It's the Almighty Living God. Seek him out. Give him thanks for creating cannabis, the substance that when it's in the air and it comes in contact with our mind, it helps regulate things in our body. It helps get thinking and fellowship going with it. And it's something really amazing that's been put out there. You don't even have to, everybody will be like, oh, you're encouraging smoking. Actually, really wouldn't, because if you get THCA when it still has the amino acid on it and you consume it raw, that really helps and regulates your body and helps there be much more with it. it actually is an antipsychotic in that. So really, if you smoke it, you're throwing it into a psychotic thing, and that's something that I always wouldn't advise people. It's a psychoactive, actually, and that can cause some some psychotic episodes and some issues because it works with your mind and kind of gives some things here. And if you're not in the right mindset, it does like alcohol. But really, as our addictions go and our things, that really goes the same way. If you have some kind of worldly other things and you're into that and let that determine your life and guide you, that can be some really bad pitfalls. So I think that's all I've got really to wrap it up. God bless everyone out there, and thank you for watching. Take care.